In today's Leeds news, Rothwell out, championship winger waiting on Leeds, split dressing room opinion, and different approaches of promotion managers. Morning folks, Jay here at The View with your Leeds United news, Monday the 7th of April. Hope you had a decent weekend after a pretty poor result for Leeds against Luton Town. Would love to know if you think that point on the road is a good point in the context of everything that's happened over the weekend, or if it's a bad point. With a win obviously would have got Leeds back into the top two and helped out with the Sheffield United situation. But would love to know your takes on that down below. We've got a bit of fallout from the weekend in terms of Leeds and the opposition, the promotion rivals perspective as well, and we get ready for the game tomorrow night against Middlesbrough. Quick turnaround, chance to get this one out of our system as quick as we can and move on. Daniel Farke's press conference is today. We're not going to cover that in this, but we'll start off by covering the Joe Rothwell situation and where we are with that as of right now, and Daniel Farke will likely then give us an update later on today. But Joe Rothwell has had a big impact for Leeds United so far this season, and his absence at the weekend made sure that Leeds were without an attacking central midfield option when they needed it in the game. Now, news that came out after the game means Leeds will have to cope without Joe Rothwell for a little bit longer at the very least. Leeds will have doubts going into Tuesday night's game, and Daniel Farke will update us today on that, on Mateo Joseph, who was ill at the weekend, and Pascal Struijk, who limped off towards the back end of the second half with a foot problem. Rothwell missed the game with a suspected calf injury picked up in training, and it has now been confirmed, or was confirmed after the game I should say, that Rothwell is expected to miss 3 weeks with a calf problem, as confirmed by Daniel Farke after the game. The Borough game may not be too much of an issue, given that Daniel Farke has always favoured the more defensive minded double pivot for away matches, but Rothwell has been an important figure in the Ellen Road games for Leeds this season, and Leeds will want to get him back and available as quickly as they can. It's the wrong time of the year to be losing options, especially the type of player that Rothwell is. His delivery from set pieces was massively missing against Luton Town at the weekend, and his driving runs forward give Leeds a huge amount of tempo when it gets a little bit flat. So he is an important player for Leeds. We hope we'll get him back quicker than the 3 weeks and ready to go for what is going to be a very important couple of weeks to go with 6 games left in the season. But we'll move on to talk about a potential summer transfer, and we've talked a lot about the potential Leeds shortlist and what appears to be one shortlist for the Championship and one shortlist for the Premier League, and we'll find out which of these two shortlists kicks in once Leeds find out their divisional status next season. But Leeds are apparently not the only club waiting to find out on that one. According to The Sun, West Bromwich Albion winger Grady Diangana is said to be delaying a decision over a move to 2 MLS clubs as he waits to find out what Leeds United's divisional status will be next season. Diangana was linked with Leeds United last summer and has had a very good season for West Brom this year, probably one of their standout players. But Diangana is out of contract this summer, which means he would be available to Leeds United on a free transfer should they decide to make a move for him. The report says that 2 MLS clubs are interested in bringing Diangana over to the States, but that the player himself is waiting for a move to Leeds United and is waiting on an offer from the Whites. Wolverhampton Wanderers have also been named as an interested party in the winger as well, but the move is said to only be happening for Leeds should Leeds miss out on promotion to the Premier League, and if Leeds do manage to get over the line and get up this season, Leeds will likely go in a different direction and look for different players. So Diangana falls into that Josh Sargent, Andrew Amabamidele bracket for me of players that Leeds will look for in the Championship should they stay there, whereas the Nico Elvede, Weigl transfers look very much more like Premier League level ones. So yeah, 2 lists right now, Leeds operating off both, trying to get foundations laid for transfers that could happen in the next couple of weeks. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Moving on, let's talk about a split opinion in the Leeds United dressing room after the game at the weekend, and with Leeds dropping into 3rd place in the league, everyone in the club needs to be pointing in the right direction. Although we know that Leeds can make ground on the top 2 when they play each other, with someone or both of them dropping points, Leeds will still need to better their results in at least one game if they are to crack into that top 2, depending on what way that game goes. After the Luton Town game, Daniel Farke said the point was a good point and that any point on the road is a good one. Form guide aside, whether you believe that or not, it is your choice completely, but form guide to one side, a 2nd place at the time, Leeds United, with aspirations of playing in the Premier League, travelling away to the 2nd bottom team of the league. Leeds should be hoping for a better performance, if nothing else, a better result in that game than they got. But That's in the context of the league positions. And the Leeds United goal scorer on the day, Daniel James, has a very different take on that point to manager Daniel Farke. Speaking to LUTV after the game, Dan James has a different take on the draw and wasn't happy with a point on the road. Asked whether this was a good point on the road, Daniel James said the following: "No, of course not. We want to win every game. We did well to get back in the game, but we couldn't score a decisive goal." Whether Daniel Farke says one thing to the press and then one thing to the players that's different to that remains to be seen, and is his business, and we probably will likely never find out that kind of information. But it's interesting to see that Daniel James and maybe the players aren't happy with the results, whereas Daniel Farke seems to be quite happy with picking up a point on the road no matter what the game is. For Leeds, he's still sticking to that: win your home games, draw your away games, and you'll get enough points to get up to 2 points per game. Won't be enough to get you promoted into the Championship this season or last season by the looks of things right now. So Leeds will need to do more on the road, and a point against Middlesbrough and a point in the final 2 away games probably won't be enough. Leeds will have to pick up a win somewhere along the line in those away games, but we'll have to wait and see if we can manage that against Borough, which won't be an easy game tomorrow night. But let's move on and talk about the differing approach to the Championship promotion rival managers and which one will be more effective come the run-in. Daniel Farke never really gets too high when Leeds win a game, and he never gets too low when Leeds lose a game or drop points or poor performance. He's very much about keeping Leeds balanced and calm. But Chris Wilder at Sheffield United has a more Chris Wilder style approach, I would say, to things, and is more reactive to situations as they happen. Farke chose at the weekend to take the positives from the 1-1 draw with Luton Town. Leeds' third draw in a row and only one win in the last 6 games for Leeds. However, after Sheffield United's 1-0 loss on the road to Oxford United, Chris Wilder went in fairly heavily and criticised nearly all of his players in that game. There are always some mind games that go on at this point of the season, and Daniel Farke has stressed the importance of any point on the road, while Wilder has been critical of his side's performances. And the take on them is very different, and this is Daniel Farke's take on the Leeds point, and then we'll look at Wilder's take on their drop points. "I'm not fearful and I'm not nervous. I know this is a very emotional club. Why do you think it's been so difficult to get promoted to the Premier League in the last 25 years? If you allow them to feel sorry for themselves, to underestimate a point, and to see every point dropped on the road as a mistake or as a loss, and then you have to feel sorry for yourself and apologise. This is why it's difficult to keep your nerve. Nerve is all Leeds need to keep at this point, or needed to keep going into the weekend's game, was just hold their nerve and level the same results as the opposition too. That hasn't happened just yet, and there's still a chance to turn that one around. But Wilder's approach after their defeat to Oxford Town on the road was a little bit more aggressive, and he said the following: "We played too ponderous, the ball speed wasn't quick enough, we made so many poor decisions with the ball, loose passing, crossing behind the goal, and really not playing well as individuals. The 2 centre forwards never held the ball up, the 2 midfielders made some bad passes, the 2 wide players never really gave us anything, and the quality from the fullbacks wasn't very good, and when we tried to build, the momentum was too slow." There isn't really anyone bar the goalkeeper who's avoided criticism from Chris Wilder, and he's gone in fairly heavy on them, but he's done that at points this season already. And whether his approach is the more effective one than Daniel Farke's one, where he protects the players a little bit more, tries to find the silver lining in every cloud, it will remain to be seen which of those 2 factors or what those 2 approaches has the desired impact to motivate their team. Leeds have looked a little bit leggy and a little bit flat in the last couple of games, and Sheffield United haven't always looked great in their performances, but have done enough in games to get wins, which always made you feel like they would have enough to get across the line. Burnley right now, the form side in the table, and Leeds currently sitting down 15th in the form table, so improvements will be needed very, very quickly if Leeds are to get the run that's needed to finish off this season on a high and get promoted to the Premier League and avoid going into the playoffs. Daniel Farke again this weekend mentioning the playoffs, and that's just not something we want to be entertaining at this point and thinking about. We want to make sure Leeds are focused very clearly on the automatic spaces and getting up via that route. But we remain to be seen. As I said, Farke's press conference is today. You'll have more information on this than I have right now. But let me know down below which of the 2 approaches that you think are the right ones. It will be the question of the day down below as well. A more aggressive or a more protective style at this point of the season. Folks, I'll be back possibly tonight with a preview for the Borough game. Not guaranteed, but keep an eye on the channel for that one. It will be scheduled if it happens. Otherwise, back first thing in the morning for the Leeds United news. I'll talk to you then. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you. Bye.